Chosen one. You are not here by accident. Heaven has aligned this exact moment with divine precision, and your spirit was summoned to this word. Anointed one, you are standing at the threshold of a supernatural shift, a financial breakthrough, a divine wealth transfer that has already begun moving in the unseen. The timing is perfect. The appointment is holy. For the same God who said in Isaiah 45 that hidden treasures are reserved for his chosen is now revealing what has been stored up for you. So still your mind, open your spirit, and receive this prophetic impartation. Your atmosphere is about to change. Chosen one, listen closely. What you are hearing right now is not coincidence, not curiosity, not background noise in your day. This moment is divine timing. Heaven aligned it. Your spirit was pulled here because something inside you has been stirring, rising, waking up. You have felt the shift, even if you couldn't describe it. You have sensed that life as you know it is changing, that the ground beneath you is moving, that your old patterns no longer fit who you are becoming. That sensation is not confusion, it is spiritual acceleration. It is proof that heaven is preparing you for a greater measure of power. Anointed one, for so long you walked through things you did not have language for. Challenges that seemed unreasonable, delays that broke your heart, isolation that made no sense. You endured seasons where you carried weights no one around you understood. You went through betrayal, rejection, spiritual heaviness and emotional storms, and yet something in you refused to collapse. Over and over you rose. Over and over you rebuilt. Over and over you survived what should have destroyed you. This is not normal strength. This is your first divine power at work. You are an alchemist of the spirit, a transformer of energy, a carrier of heaven's technology. The world attempts to name it resilience, but that word is too small for what God built inside you. What lives in your spirit is the ancient ability to transmute, to take what was meant to break you and turn it into wisdom, clarity, and supernatural strength. That is why your path has been heavier than others. That is why certain seasons felt like fire. Heaven wasn't trying to crush you. Heaven was activating you. And I can tell you this not only because I have seen it in many chosen ones, but because I have lived it myself. I remember seasons where I woke up feeling like everything was slipping through my fingers. Times when prayers seemed to evaporate in silence. Moments when people I loved could no longer walk with me, and I mistook their departure as loss instead of protection. There were nights where I felt powerless, wondering why God allowed certain storms. But years later, I understood those storms were classrooms, those endings were redirections. Those heavy moments were spiritual weight training. Heaven was not trying to weaken me, it was sculpting capacity inside me. Chosen one. The same is true for you. You were not given the ability to crumble under pressure. You were given the ability to convert pressure into elevation. When the world throws negativity at you, it does not stick, it becomes fuel. When people underestimate you, their doubt becomes clarity. When life hits you unexpectedly, the impact becomes revelation. You were built differently. You feel deeply, yes. You carry emotions intensely, yes. But the depth of your feeling is not weakness. It is a sign that your spirit is capable of transforming energy rather than absorbing it. Most people take in negativity like a sponge. They internalize pain. They become bitter heavy and spiritually stagnant. But you are wired to refine the very energy that tries to wound you. When pain hits something inside you, awakens. Your spirit begins rearranging the pieces, finding the lesson, extracting the wisdom, and rising stronger. That is why you outgrew environments quickly. That is why shallow people never understood you. That is why you never fit in the places that tried to contain you. Your spirit is designed to evolve, not stay the same. And now the time has come for you to master this gift intentionally. Until now, you have used it without understanding it. You have survived without knowing why. But heaven is calling you to step into conscious power. No more reacting emotionally. No more carrying what isn't yours. No more letting the world dictate your atmosphere. You are moving into a season where your awareness will shape your reality. When negativity rises, you will recognize it without absorbing it. When discouragement tries to attach itself to you, you will transform it. When fear whispers, you will confront it with clarity. And when spiritual heaviness attempts to sit on you, you will rise above it with authority. Chosen. One transmutation begins with perspective. When you shift from asking, "Why me?" to asking, "What is this activating in me?" everything changes. Suddenly, the storm becomes strategy. The pressure becomes preparation. The rejection becomes redirection. The closed door becomes protection. Nothing is random anymore. Nothing is wasted. I've experienced this firsthand. The moment I began viewing challenges as invitations to rise, to see differently, to grow spiritually, everything in my life changed. I stopped seeing setbacks as punishment and started seeing them as training. I stopped viewing loss as failure and started seeing it as heaven making room for better alignment. That shift changed my entire life, and it will change yours too. Chosen one. Your gift of transmutation is the reason hell tried so hard to break you. It knew that if you ever discovered what you carried, you would become unstoppable. You would become unshakable. You would become a threat to every dimension of darkness assigned to your destiny. And that moment, the moment of discovery, is happening right now. Breathe. Feel the strength rising. Feel the clarity forming. Feel your spirit expanding. You are not fragile. You are fortified. And this is only the beginning. The second power, the deeper power, is waiting. Once that activates, everything in your life will accelerate into divine alignment. Chosen one, now that the first power has begun to awaken within you, heaven is ready to reveal the second. And this second power is not merely a skill or a sensitivity, it is a spiritual inheritance. It is the mark that separates you from crowds, the signature of heaven on your life. You have always sensed it even before you had language for it. You have always felt different, even when you tried to deny it. And now, heaven is removing the veil, so you can finally understand the truth. You have been gifted with spiritual sight. Anointed. 1. This gift is not about seeing with your natural eyes. It is the ability to perceive what others overlook, to sense what others ignore, to understand what others deem impossible. From childhood, you felt things before they happened. You walked into rooms and felt atmospheres shift. You sensed people's intentions long before their actions confirmed them. You noticed patterns others dismissed as coincidence. You dreamed dreams that felt too real to be random. You carried intuition so sharp it frightened you at times. This is not imagination. This is not sensitivity. This is not luck. This is spiritual sight. The ability to see beyond the veil. I remember the day I first realized this gift operated in me. I was speaking to someone who wore a smile, but their eyes carried a heaviness I couldn't ignore. Something in my spirit said, this person is breaking. They hadn't spoken a word of struggle. They hadn't shared any burden. But within minutes, tears began to fall from their eyes, and they said, how did you know? In that moment I realized spiritual sight is not about staring harder. It is about sensing deeper. It is heaven's way of whispering truth into your spirit long before evidence appears in the natural. Chosen one. This gift has been active in your life all along. It's why you've always been the one who notices when someone's energy shifts. It's why your heart feels heavy when someone around you is quietly hurting. It's why you sense danger before it arrives, feel uncomfortable around people with hidden motives, and experience sudden peace when something is spiritually right. This is your second extraordinary power, and it is time to embrace it fully. But hear me, this gift comes with weight, because seeing beyond the veil means you cannot live like everyone else. You cannot pretend you don't know what you know. You cannot ignore your intuition, because it is not just instinct, it is divine communication. When your spirit alerts you, heaven is speaking. When you feel an unexplainable pull, it is alignment. When you feel an unshakable hesitation, it is protection. Most people walk through life blind to spiritual truth. They see faces, but not motives. They hear words, but not intentions. They watch actions, but never sense energy. But you see deeper. You feel earlier. You know sooner, and that gift has been the root of both your strength and your loneliness. Because let's be honest, chosen one, there were moments you questioned yourself, moments you wondered why you felt too much, moments you believed you were imagining things you weren't. You were perceiving what others could not. And sometimes carrying sight in a world that prefers blindness can feel like punishment. It can make you feel isolated, misunderstood, out of place. But you must understand this isolation was intentional. Heaven needed you to trust your sight, not suppress it to blend in. I know how heavy that can feel. I know what it's like to sense something about a person or a situation and doubt myself only to later realize I was right all along. I know the frustration of seeing potential in someone long before they see it, or noticing danger long before others recognize it. But I also learned something sacred. Spiritual sight may feel lonely, but it is never wrong. Chosen one. Heaven is calling you to sharpen this gift, to stop ignoring your intuition, to stop silencing the whisper in your spirit, to make others comfortable. The world may not understand your depth, but heaven does. Your spiritual sight was designed for alignment, protection, discernment, and purpose. And here's the truth. Your next breakthrough, your next elevation, your next divine opportunity will require this gift. Because God is bringing you into seasons where intentions will matter more than appearances, where spiritual discernment will protect you from traps disguised as blessings, where the wrong partnership could derail destiny and the right connection could accelerate your life overnight. Only spiritual sight can navigate that level of destiny. This is why the warfare around your mind has been so intense. This is why confusion tried to cloud your judgment. This is why distractions increased. The enemy fears a chosen one who sees clearly, because when you can see, you cannot be deceived. When you can discern, you cannot be manipulated. When you walk in spiritual awareness, you become unshakable. Chosen one. It's time to protect your light. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not every conversation is meant for your spirit. Not every environment aligns with your calling. You must guard your atmosphere. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. You have a divine assignment, and clarity is your currency. And now heaven is inviting you to step deeper into this power, to meditate, to grow quiet enough to hear the whispers of God, to trust the signs that show up repeatedly, to pay attention to the numbers, the dreams, the sudden insights, the divine confirmations. You are not imagining these things. You are being guided. Your spiritual sight is awakening, expanding, sharpening, and once it activates fully, you will no longer question your path, your decisions, or your destiny. You will walk with certainty, clarity, and divine wisdom. Chosen one, breathe this in. You are not meant to be blind in this world. You are meant to see. You are meant to discern. You are meant to lead. And when these two gifts, transmutation and spiritual sight, begin working together, nothing in your life will remain the same. Chosen one, now that your spiritual sight is awakening, something even deeper begins to unfold. Because once heaven opens your eyes, it also begins to open your path. You start seeing what was always there but previously hidden. You begin noticing divine alignments that once felt like coincidences. You start recognizing that certain people, certain moments, certain shifts in your spirit were never random, they were signals. And now you are entering a season where these signals will become clearer, louder, and impossible to ignore. Anointed. One spiritual sight is not just the ability to perceive energy. It is the capacity to understand divine timing. Heaven moves with precision, and when your spirit aligns with that timing, acceleration happens. For years you may have felt like your life moved in slow motion, like breakthrough was always almost like progress was always delayed, like answers were always just out of reach. But now the pace is changing. Your spirit is beginning to catch up with what heaven already declared about you long ago. This is why lately you've felt a strange mixture of restlessness and clarity. You feel ready for something bigger, even if you can't describe it yet. You feel done with cycles that once held you, even if you haven't stepped into the next chapter fully. You feel called out of old versions of yourself, even when you don't know exactly who you're becoming. That tension is not instability, it is spiritual transition. It is the push of destiny. I've walked through that tension myself. There were seasons where nothing in the physical world hinted at change, yet my spirit felt like it was vibrating. I remember waking up with a sense that something was shifting, even though everything around me looked the same. I couldn't explain it to anyone, so I carried it silently. But over time, heaven confirmed what my spirit already knew. Doors opened suddenly, relationships aligned miraculously, opportunities surfaced out of nowhere. It taught me something powerful. Spiritual shifts happen before physical ones, and the spirit always knows first. Chosen one, your spirit knows. You have felt the ground trembling beneath your feet, the subtle internal pull that says, prepare. Your spiritual sight is not merely revealing what is, it is revealing what is coming, and what's coming is breakthrough, not the gentle kind, the sudden kind, the kind that redefines you, the kind that makes sense of everything you've survived. But to handle breakthrough correctly, you must first understand your sensitivity. Chosen ones often feel spiritually overloaded because they pick up what others miss. You can walk into a room and feel heaviness that wasn't yours. You can talk to someone and feel the truth behind their words. You can sense spiritual warfare before it manifests in the physical. This has felt like a burden at times, but heaven is showing you now this is your strength. Still, you must guard your spirit. Because spiritual sight without spiritual boundaries leads to exhaustion. And you've been exhausted before, not physically but spiritually. You've had seasons where your mind was tired, your emotions overwhelmed, your energy drained. You tried to rest your body, but it wasn't your body that was weary, it was your spirit carrying too much. That is why this season requires intentional protection. Not every voice deserves your ear. Not every person deserves your trust. Not every energy deserves access to your spirit. Discernment is both a gift and a shield. When someone's words feel light, but their spirit feels heavy, trust your discernment. When something looks good but feels wrong, trust your discernment. When an opportunity appears perfect but your spirit hesitates, trust your discernment. Heaven warns long before danger arrives. And chosen. One another truth, the more your sight awakens, the more the enemy tries to distract you. Hell cannot blind you anymore, so it tries to overwhelm you. It tries to cloud your mind with unnecessary responsibilities, unaligned relationships, emotional noise and spiritual clutter. It tries to keep you busy so you cannot stay aligned, but you are breaking out of that cycle now. You are learning to choose peace over noise, clarity over chaos, alignment over distraction. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. You are beginning to understand that just because you can carry something doesn't mean you should. Just because you can fix someone doesn't mean it's your assignment. Just because you can sense someone's pain doesn't mean you are responsible for healing it. Your calling is not to be drained, it is to be discerning. And heaven is preparing you for a season where your spiritual sight will become one of your greatest weapons. You are entering environments where you cannot rely on appearances. People will show up in your life with charm, but not all will carry purity. Opportunities will appear promising, but not all will be aligned. And without spiritual sight, you could easily choose what looks right but feels wrong. But with spiritual sight, you will choose what aligns with destiny rather than what appeals to ego. This is why you have been separated. This is why your circle has shrunk. This is why heaven removed certain voices from your life. You needed clarity. You needed quiet. You needed room to awaken without interference. And now you are awakening. Chosen. 1. Your second divine power is not just seeing beyond the veil, it is walking confidently because you trust what you see. It is the ability to navigate life with supernatural wisdom. The more you honor this gift, the sharper it becomes. The more you trust it, the stronger it grows. The more you step into it, the clearer your path becomes. You are stepping into the version of yourself that heaven always intended. The version that sees clearly. The version that senses truth. The version that rises without fear. And once these two powers, transmutation and spiritual sight, begin working together, you will become unshakable. Chosen. 1. Breathe this in. Your clarity is returning. Your vision is sharpening. Your spirit is rising. Chosen one, as your spiritual sight sharpens and your ability to transmute deepens, heaven now brings you into the most transformative realization of this season. You were never meant to walk through life reacting. You were created to walk through life ruling. You were created to govern your inner world, to command your atmosphere, and to stand in authority even when circumstances seem to contradict the promise spoken over your life. This authority is not loud. It is not boastful. It is quiet-rooted and undeniable. And it is awakening in you right now. Anointed One authority begins with understanding who you are, but it is sustained by understanding who walks with you. For too long you've been navigating life as if you were alone in every storm. Trauma convinced you that you had to fix everything yourself. Rejection convinced you that you had no one to depend on. Silence convinced you that heaven had forgotten you, but none of that was truth. The truth is, this heaven has been guiding every step, even when your eyes couldn't see it. The unseen realm has been active, even when your heart felt numb. And now heaven is revealing what was hidden. You were carried through battles that would have broken others. You see, chosen one, when heaven marks you, your life does not unfold like everyone else's. You don't get to walk through easy paths, because easy paths cannot hold the weight of your calling. You don't get to avoid storms, because storms strengthen what comfort would weaken. You don't get to blend in, because blending in would bury your anointing. You've been set apart, not as punishment, but as preparation. Everything about you was designed for higher altitude, deeper clarity, and greater power. And one of the signs that heaven has placed royalty inside your spirit is this: you have always struggled to tolerate anything beneath your calling. Small thinking feels suffocating. Shallow conversations feel draining. Environments with no spiritual depth feel like prisons. Even when you tried to force yourself to stay in certain places, your spirit resisted. That resistance was not moodiness or dissatisfaction, it was guidance. Heaven has been steering you away from places that could not hold what is inside you. I've felt this many times in my own life. There were environments where everything seemed fine externally, but something in my spirit felt muted. Conversations that looked friendly but left my soul feeling empty. People who appeared supportive but carried vibrations that didn't align with where I was going. And every time I ignored those signals, I paid the price. But every time I trusted them, heaven aligned something greater in its place. That's when I learned a truth I now speak to you. Spiritual discomfort is often divine redirection. Chosen one, your spirit has been telling you for a long time who is for you and who is not. It has been whispering when to stay, when to step back, and when to walk away. And now that your spiritual sight is sharper, you can no longer ignore those whispers. Your destiny requires obedience at the level of intuition. What you feel spiritually is not random, it is instruction. And ignoring spiritual instruction always leads to unnecessary delays. This is why heaven has been strengthening your discernment. Because the next chapter of your life will include divine connections, unexpected opportunities, and supernatural transitions. But it will also include counterfeit doors that look right but lead nowhere. People who appear helpful but carry hidden motives, opportunities that seem promising but would drain your spirit. Without discernment, elevation becomes vulnerability. With discernment, elevation becomes acceleration. And here is something heaven wants you to understand deeply. Not all opposition is demonic. Some resistance is protection. Some delays are divine shields. Some rejections are answered prayers in disguise. Heaven has saved you from more than you know. If you could see what your spiritual sight prevented, you would fall to your knees in gratitude. But now, heaven is shifting you from merely being protected to actively participating in your spiritual strategy. This means you must begin choosing alignment intentionally, guarding your energy, listening to your intuition, recognizing the difference between assignment and distraction, and above all, trusting the voice within you that carries the frequency of divine wisdom. Chosen one. The real battle you've been fighting is not external, it is internal. It is the battle between your old identity and the new version of you emerging. It is the battle between the part of you that fears stepping out and the part of you that knows you were created to rise. It is the battle between survival mode and spiritual authority. But hear this clearly, survival season is ending. Authority season is beginning. You are stepping into a level of clarity you have never walked in before. You will begin to see people for who they truly are, whether they wear masks or not. You will sense when opportunities are divinely aligned and when they are traps. You will feel the shift in your spirit before the shift touches your circumstances. And with this heightened clarity, you will no longer second-guess yourself the way you once did. You will walk with conviction, not confusion. Your steps are being ordered, your atmosphere is being cleansed, your vision is being refined, and heaven is positioning you for breakthrough, the kind that doesn't just bless your life, but transforms it entirely. Chosen one, breathe this truth into your spirit. You are not entering a season. You are entering identity. You are not chasing breakthrough. Breakthrough is coming toward you. Because the moment you step into who you truly are, everything assigned to your destiny begins to find you. Chosen one. As you rise into this new identity, something profound begins happening around you and within you. The atmosphere of your life is shifting. The spiritual infrastructure around your path is being rearranged. What once felt blocked is beginning to open. What once felt distant is now drawing near. For the first time in a long time, the spiritual weight pressing against you is starting to lift. And this is the sign, the clearest sign, that heaven is preparing you for supernatural transition, not a subtle change, a divine shift that will touch every area of your life. Anointed one. Your journey has been long, heavy, and often misunderstood. You have fought invisible battles no one knew about. You have cried in silence, smiled through exhaustion, and carried burdens that would have broken those who spoke lightly over your life. And yet, through everything, you kept moving. You kept serving. You kept believing. Even in moments where your faith felt faint, you held on to that last thread of hope. And heaven saw it. Heaven counted every tear, measured every sacrifice, and remembered every quiet act of obedience. Nothing was wasted. Not one prayer. Not one moment. And because of that faithfulness, heaven is now shifting you into a different dimension of living. You're moving from endurance to elevation, from surviving to receiving, from waiting to walking. The very things you once begged God for are beginning to align themselves around your spirit. You are stepping into a chapter where what felt delayed will now feel destined. What felt locked will now feel released. What felt unavailable will now be within reach. But before this shift manifests fully, you must understand the spiritual mechanics behind it. Every divine transition requires two movements, a release and a reception. You must release the old atmosphere to receive the new one. And the truth is, heaven has already started this process in your life, even if it didn't look spiritual while it was happening. This is why certain relationships faded without explanation, why certain opportunities dried up, why certain people couldn't stay connected to you, why certain environments stopped feeling like home. It wasn't random, it wasn't rejection, it wasn't failure, it was alignment. Heaven was releasing what could not accompany you into the chapter you're stepping into. Because destiny requires space. I have lived through this myself. There were seasons where it felt like everything was falling apart at once. Friendships, changing doors, closing environments, shifting. At the time, I felt abandoned by God. But later, I understood something sacred. Heaven will sometimes strip your life down to the foundation to build something greater upon it. God doesn't remove to punish. He removes to prepare. Every departure in those seasons created room for blessings that later arrived like sudden rain. Chosen one. What you lost was making room for what you prayed for. This is why heaven is now turning your attention inward, because the next phase of your life requires emotional clarity, spiritual order, and internal readiness. Your anointing is expanding, your vision is sharpening, and your spirit is maturing. The things that once triggered you will no longer disturb your peace. The people who once drained you will no longer have access to your energy. The doubts that once confused you will now be silenced by discernment. You are stepping into a level of inner stability that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. But understand this: when elevation approaches, opposition increases. Not because you are weak, but because you are close. Darkness senses when a chosen one is rising. It recognizes the shift in your spirit. It feels the authority awakening within you. And just before breakthrough manifests, warfare often intensifies in your mind, in your emotions, in your relationships. But do not misinterpret the pressure. Pressure is a sign of spiritual birth. Resistance is a sign of divine momentum. The battle around you is confirmation that you are stepping into territory hell hoped you'd never reach. And your spiritual sight, the second divine power, will guide you through this transition with supernatural precision. You will begin to sense what deserves your attention and what should be ignored. You will recognize what is spiritual warfare and what is simply distraction. You will see clearly who is meant to walk with you and who cannot carry the weight of your calling. Chosen one clarity is coming back. Confidence is returning. Peace is wrapping itself around your spirit like a mantle. And this inner alignment is not just preparation, it is activation. When your spirit aligns fully, your external world begins to shift automatically. Doors respond, opportunities appear, finances move, relationships align, favor flows. Everything begins to match the frequency of your spirit. This is why heaven is urging you to remain steady, to remain grounded, to remain surrendered. You are closer than you think. You are standing at the border of breakthrough. And even though you may not see the full manifestation yet, your spirit is already walking toward it. Chosen one. Your life is not going backward. It is expanding. Your identity is not diminishing, it is strengthening. Your path is not closing, it is opening. You are not losing, you are transitioning. And transitions often feel like loss until the new chapter reveals what the old one was making space for. Breathe this truth into the deepest part of your spirit. What is coming is greater than what left. What is ahead is greater than what was behind. And who you are becoming is far more powerful than who you were. The next part will take you deeper into the moment heaven decides to unveil your next assignment and elevate your spiritual authority. Chosen one. Now that heaven has aligned your spirit for transition, something even more profound begins to unfold. You are being prepared for activation. This is the moment many never reach, because it requires a kind of surrender that goes beyond emotion and moves into identity. You are stepping into a season where heaven isn't just speaking to you, heaven is speaking through you. This is the moment where the mantle on your life shifts from potential to power. Anointed one, you must understand that every chosen one reaches a point where waiting ends and walking begins. You are being positioned for that moment right now. You will feel it in your body, a restlessness that pushes you out of complacency, a stirring in your spirit that demands movement, a pressure that indicates something inside you is expanding. These sensations are not anxiety. They are spiritual contractions. Heaven is birthing the next dimension of your calling. Many times people think breakthrough begins on the outside, but for chosen ones, breakthrough always begins within. Before doors open, your spirit opens. Before opportunities arrive, your awareness shifts. Before elevation happens, your identity is refined. Heaven does not position you publicly until you have been prepared privately. And yes, you have gone through years of private preparation. Seasons where you carried revelation no one else saw. Seasons where you held on to faith no one else understood. Seasons where you grew in silence while others mistook your stillness for stagnation. But now your hidden years are beginning to speak. Chosen. One activation requires something powerful agreement. You must agree with the version of you heaven has already seen. Many chosen ones delay their breakthrough because they remain loyal to old identities that can no longer carry their purpose. But you're ready to release who you were in order to embrace who you are becoming. Who you were was shaped by survival. Who you are becoming is shaped by destiny. This shift is noticeable. People around you may say, "You've changed." But the truth is, you're not changing, you're remembering. You're awakening into the version of you that heaven designed long before life tried to dim your spirit. You are remembering your strength, your discernment, your spiritual authority, your calling. And as this identity rises in you, heaven begins to open pathways that were previously inaccessible. Suddenly, you find yourself thinking differently, responding differently, praying differently, discerning differently. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw limitations. You feel solutions forming before problems fully appear. You sense direction even when logic offers none. This is the evidence that your spiritual sight and your spiritual power are merging. And when these two merge, you step into spiritual maturity, the dimension where you no longer beg for miracles, because you understand you are walking with the miracle worker. But here is something heaven wants you to understand deeply. Activation also attracts resistance. The enemy does not fight you for who you were, he fights you for who you are becoming. That is why certain thoughts recently tried to discourage you, why certain memories tried to resurface, why old fears attempted to whisper again. Hell has sensed the shift in your spirit, and it fears the authority you are stepping into. But you must hear this clearly, you are not going backward. Those old feelings resurfaced, not to reclaim you, but to reveal how far you've grown. You are no longer vulnerable to what once wounded you. You no longer break at the pressure that once crushed you. You no longer bend under the weight that once weakened you. Your spirit has matured. Your resilience has increased. Your discernment has sharpened. You have become spiritually flame-proof. And because of this growth, heaven is preparing you for assignment. You are not just being awakened, you are being sent. You are being positioned for impact. Your presence will shift rooms. Your words will heal hearts. Your decisions will break cycles. Your obedience will activate miracles. You will walk into environments where darkness once ruled and carry a light that cannot be ignored. But before heaven sends you, it strengthens you. So this season may feel like stretching. You may feel God asking you to step out of comfort into conviction. You may sense the need to release old versions of yourself, old habits, old mindsets. You may feel your spirit urging you to pray more deeply, to listen more intently, to rest more intentionally. This is not discipline, it is preparation. Chosen one. Heaven is aligning your life with precision. People are being positioned. Opportunities are being prepared. Paths are being cleared. What seemed delayed is now accelerating. What felt blocked is now opening. What once felt distant is now drawing close. You may not see everything yet, but you feel it, and that feeling is confirmation. Your spirit is tapping into the supernatural timeline of heaven. You are beginning to sense what is about to unfold before it becomes visible. And once heaven reveals something to your spirit, no earthly circumstance can prevent it. Anointed, one, breathe this truth in. You are stepping into the part of your story where everything begins to make sense. You are stepping into the era heaven has been preparing you for. You are stepping into a mantle that was written for you before time began. The vision you carry, the wisdom you've gained, the healing you've fought for, the clarity you've earned, all of it is preparation for the assignment being placed in your hands. Chosen. One, activation is not coming. It has already begun. Chosen one. As your activation unfolds, heaven now begins to refine something even deeper within you, your spiritual posture. Because elevation is not only about what you carry, it is about how you carry it. You are stepping into a realm where the posture of your spirit will determine the pace of your breakthrough. Heaven is shaping you into someone who can stand firm in authority while remaining soft in humility, someone who carries power without losing purity, someone who can walk in destiny without being shaken by distraction. Anointed one. This inner refinement may feel subtle, but it is sacred. You may notice yourself craving solitude more than before, not because you are withdrawing, but because your spirit is recalibrating. You may notice you're speaking less, not out of silence, but out of wisdom. You may notice you're letting go of arguments not because you're losing interest, but because your peace has become more valuable than proving a point. These shifts are not personality changes, they are upgrades. They are signs that heaven is teaching you to govern your inner world with authority. This is important because you are entering a season where your internal stillness will become your external strength. You will walk into situations that used to unsettle you and find yourself calm. You will encounter people who once triggered insecurity and feel nothing but clarity. You will face moments that previously caused anxiety and instead respond with discernment. This is the evidence of spiritual maturity, and heaven is bringing you into it now. But there is another layer to this refinement. Heaven is detoxing your spirit. Old emotional residue is lifting. Old wounds are losing their grip. Old narratives that told you who you weren't enough to be are crumbling. You may even feel random waves of emotion lately: sadness without a story, heaviness without a source, tears that appear suddenly. This is not regression. This is release. Heaven is cleansing grief, fear, and fatigue that your spirit carried for years. The healing you prayed for is happening even in silence. I've experienced this in my own life. There were moments I cried not because of current pain, but because my spirit was releasing years of unspoken battles. Times when I felt emotions rising with no logical explanation, only to realize later that heaven was lifting burdens I had normalized. Chosen one. Your soul is being restored, not patched up, restored. Heaven is strengthening what life once weakened, soothing what trauma once tightened, renewing what exhaustion once drained. And as this healing happens, your capacity increases. Your heart becomes wider. Your discernment becomes sharper. Your spirit becomes lighter. You will realize that emotional triggers you once struggled with no longer hold power. Conversations that once felt draining now feel irrelevant. Environments that once overwhelmed you now feel beneath your spirit. This is not pride, this is elevation. Heaven is raising your spiritual threshold. Chosen. One another thing you must understand: when heaven elevates you internally, it also elevates your spiritual authority externally. You will start noticing that your presence disrupts darkness. People will suddenly shift their tone around you. Hidden motives will become obvious. Environments will feel different when you walk in. You won't have to speak. Your spirit will speak for you. The oil on your life will become visible even to those who don't understand spirituality. This shift may come with opposition, but the opposition is confirmation. Darkness always reacts when a chosen one rises. But this time you are not entering conflict with fear. You are entering it with wisdom and the full awareness of your power. You will not be easily provoked, easily discouraged, or easily shaken. You will respond with clarity instead of emotion, authority instead of anxiety. This is because heaven is now positioning you to influence others. Your breakthrough will not stay private. It will touch the lives of those connected to you. Your transformation will inspire people who never believed change was possible. Your wisdom will open doors for those who once felt lost. Your resilience will become a testimony that strengthens others. Anointed One, you are stepping into leadership, not the leadership of titles, but the leadership of presence, the leadership of example, the leadership of spiritual weight. When you walk in identity, people around you feel permission to rise. When you walk in purpose, people around you feel empowered to pursue theirs. When you walk in peace, people around you feel safe. But leadership requires responsibility. And heaven has entrusted you with this responsibility because you have proven faithful in private seasons. You didn't quit when the journey hurt. You didn't compromise when loneliness pressed. You didn't abandon your calling when silence lasted longer than expected. Heaven is elevating you because your endurance has earned it. Chosen One, breathe this truth into your bones. Your spirit is maturing. Your identity is strengthening. Your authority is rising. Your assignment is approaching. You are not just being prepared for blessing. You are being prepared to carry blessing. And what you carry next will require the strongest, clearest, and most surrendered version of you. Chosen One, as your spiritual posture strengthens and your inner world settles into authority, heaven begins revealing the next dimension of your journey, alignment with destiny connections, divine timing, and supernatural provision. This is the stage where everything that once felt scattered begins to gather. Everything that once felt delayed begins to accelerate. Everything that once felt unclear begins to make sense. You are stepping into the orchestration phase, the part of your story where heaven moves pieces into place with a precision that cannot be manufactured by human effort. Anointed. One destiny is never an isolated path. There are people assigned to your next chapter, just as there were people assigned to your previous one. Some had to leave because their purpose in your story was complete. Others will arrive because their presence aligns with where heaven is taking you. In this season, heaven is not only shaping you, it is shaping the connections around you. People of purpose, people of purity, people of alignment, people who match your spiritual frequency. And you will feel this shift. You will notice conversations becoming deeper. You will notice your spirit gravitating toward those who carry clarity, wisdom, and sincerity. You will find yourself uninterested in shallow interactions and unaligned relationships. Your soul will no longer tolerate chaos disguised as companionship. Instead, heaven will draw toward you individuals who sharpen, strengthen, and support your calling. But this alignment is not only relational, it is also situational. Your environment is shifting. The places you once felt stuck in will no longer hold you. The dreams that once felt out of reach will now feel attainable. Ideas you buried long ago will begin resurfacing because heaven is breathing life into them again. And doors you forgot you knocked on will swing open effortlessly because heaven's timing has matured. I've experienced this phase myself. Seasons where nothing moved for a long time, and then suddenly everything moved at once. Opportunities connected like puzzle pieces. People appeared in my life with answers I didn't verbalize. Resources flowed from directions I didn't anticipate, and all of it felt orchestrated. It taught me that when heaven decides a chosen one is ready, alignment becomes effortless. What once required striving becomes natural. What once required pushing becomes attracting. Chosen. One, hear me, you are entering your orchestration season. This is where heaven begins synchronizing the steps of your life with divine timing. And you will feel it clearly, because things that once required intense effort will now respond to your presence with ease. Not because life suddenly became simpler, but because your spirit is finally aligned with your assignment. And with alignment comes supernatural provision. This is a truth many overlook. Heaven funds what heaven orders. When you walk in purpose, provision follows. When you step into calling, resources align. When you obey instruction, supply responds. Provision doesn't only mean finances, it means clarity, strategy, opportunity, support, wisdom, strength, and even divine favor. These things are not random. They are intentional signs that you are walking in the direction heaven has chosen for you. You will notice this shift in subtle ways first. Ideas will drop into your spirit effortlessly. Solutions will appear in moments of silence. People will recommend you without you asking. Unexpected support will show up right when you need it. You will begin attracting what you once chased because your inner frequency is rising. But provision also requires this capacity. Chosen one, heaven is expanding your capacity. You are becoming someone who can hold more without breaking, someone who can carry more without crumbling, someone who can build, lead, heal, and elevate without losing yourself. This expansion may feel uncomfortable, but it is sacred discomfort. It is stretching you to become the vessel that can carry the weight of your next blessings. And with increased capacity comes responsibility. Heaven is calling you to walk with precision, not panic, with intentionality, not impulsiveness, with discernment, not desperation. This is because the opportunities arriving next require a clear mind and a steady spirit. The doors opening next are not ordinary doors, they are access points into divine timing. Anointed one, heaven is also positioning you for impact. The experiences you survived are not wasted, they are becoming tools that will help others. Your story carries medicine, your wounds carry wisdom, your journey carries revelation, and your resilience carries authority. You will speak words that heal, advise with clarity, and guide with compassion, not because you studied these things, but because you live them. And hear this carefully, your voice is becoming necessary. Your presence will matter more than you realize. Your journey will become a roadmap for someone else's breakthrough. But for you to walk in this level of assignment, heaven must ensure you are anchored. Anchored in identity, anchored in discernment, anchored in purpose. Because elevation without anchoring leads to collapse. But elevation with anchoring leads to legacy. Chosen. One, heaven is making you unshakable. Not untouchable, unshakable. Not perfect prepared. Not flawless fortified. And as this anchoring occurs, you will notice something powerful happening around you. Synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that are not coincidences at all. Repeated signs. Repeated numbers. Repeated confirmations. You will hear the same message from different sources. You will feel the same nudge multiple times. This is heaven saying, walk this way. Your path is being illuminated one step at a time. Heaven does not reveal the whole journey at once. It reveals what your spirit is mature enough to handle. And you, chosen one, are becoming mature enough to steward clarity without fear. You are stepping into alignment. You are stepping into orchestration. You are stepping into provision. You are stepping into divine timing. Chosen one, now that heaven has aligned your spirit, expanded your capacity, and positioned your steps, you are entering the final phase of this awakening embodiment. This is where everything you've learned, everything you've fought for, and everything heaven has deposited into your spirit becomes active in your daily life. This is not theory anymore. This is not preparation anymore. This is destiny unfolding through you. Anointed one embodiment means you no longer talk like the old you, think like the old you, or pray like the old you. It means you stand in your calling with confidence. You walk with spiritual assurance. You speak with clarity. You act with purpose. You make decisions from identity, not insecurity. Heaven has not brought you this far to remain timid or unsure. You have crossed too many storms, survived too many battles, and risen from too many ashes to question your worth now. This is the season where you walk boldly. Embodiment also means this: your light will now shine publicly in ways it never did privately. What heaven developed in secret will begin to reveal itself in silence, breaking ways. People will sense the shift in you, even if you never say a word. Your presence will feel different. Your voice will carry weight. Your discernment will sharpen atmospheres. You will be surprised how many hearts are moved, how many doors respond, how many situations shift, simply because you show up aligned. And yes, this level of presence comes with responsibility. You are no longer just living for yourself. You are carrying an assignment. You are carrying impact. You are carrying breakthrough that will flow into families, communities, relationships, and even generations. Your obedience now will echo beyond anything you can see. Chosen. One embodiment means heaven trusts you, trusts your heart, trusts your maturity, trusts your surrender, trusts your willingness to follow the whispers of the Spirit even when logic disagrees, trusts your ability to stand firm when darkness attempts to intimidate you, trusts your readiness to carry the mantle that has been shaping you for years. And now, as this mantle settles on your life, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your influence becomes spiritual, not situational. You will shift things without forcing them. You will guide people without controlling them. You will speak truth without needing approval. You will activate hope without trying to impress. Influence rooted in purpose flows naturally, gently, powerfully. But hear this carefully: embodiment requires protection. You must guard your spirit fiercely. Protect your peace. Protect your clarity. Protect your sensitivity. Protect your time. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. You are carrying something rare, something costly, something heaven sent. Not everyone has the capacity to handle the depth of who you are becoming, and that is perfectly fine. You are not rising to be understood. You are rising to be effective. Chosen one, in this final phase of awakening, you will feel heaven guiding your steps more directly than ever before. You will notice that certain opportunities feel magnetized toward you. Certain people feel divinely timed. Certain decisions feel instinctively right. This is not luck. This is guidance. Heaven is orchestrating new beginnings, new assignments, and new expressions of your calling. And you will know you're embodying your identity when fear no longer dictates your choices. When you move even without all the answers. When you trust the nudge more than the noise. When you choose destiny over comfort. That is the moment your anointing becomes your reality. Anointed one, here is the truth heaven wants to seal into your spirit. You are ready, ready for elevation, ready for outpouring, ready for opportunity, ready for supernatural release. Everything you've walked through, every tear, every battle, every lonely chapter, every transformation has brought you to this moment. You are not stepping into your calling unprepared. You are stepping in refined, strengthened, sharpened, and anointed. Your two divine powers, the power to transmute and the power to see beyond the veil, are now fully awakened. And together they form the spiritual engine that will carry you into the next dimension of your purpose. Chosen. 1. Breathe. Stand tall. Walk forward. Your time is not coming. Your time is now. Chosen 1. As we close this message, let this truth anchor in your spirit. You are stepping into a divine moment prepared only for you. Your two extraordinary powers are not awakening someday, they are awakening now. A supernatural shift is already moving in your favor. Walk forward with clarity, with authority, with vision. Heaven is aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right breakthroughs to meet you on your path. If this word touched you, declare it below. And if you feel led, stay connected for more guidance. Until next time, remain blessed, remain awakened, and keep shining your light. Your time has begun.